So, good morning, you guys. I want to review AEW from last night, and I do want to say that I'm very proud of Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. And, why would I say that? Because they're both, wrestlers that receive a lot of criticism. The first thing that I want to do is that I want to say that I am proud of Chris Jericho because he did one thing that I've never seen done on AEW television, which is that he did talk about the Death Before Dishonor show, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm very, very proud of that. I think it's called Final Battle. I'm sorry, Final Battle, and I'm very proud of that because the big problem with AEW is that they will not advertise shows like Final Battle or other Ring of Honor shows. Why would you even do that? That's extremely dumbass. If I'm gonna have an arena like the Hammerstein Ballroom, if I'm gonna like have the New York City crowd, they usually do over 10,000 people at pay-per-views in the New York City area. Why the hell are you not even advertising that, really? So I'm very proud of Chris Jericho saying that, hey, watch Ring of Honor. Hey, it's during this time. Hey, let's talk about the other New York shows, and then also too, let's talk about the fact that I am the Ring of Honor champion and I'm defending my title, and I'm going to find a good opponent for myself. So all those things do matter, and I'm very, very proud of that. Like Chris Jericho, because as I said, you went from Ring of Honor having 8,000, 10,000 people at a pay-per-view to 8,000 to 3,000 to last time, I think it was less than 2,000 people. So you really have to be like, okay, we have to treat this like a big deal. We have to really care about Ring of Honor. It can't be that up in the air type of show, really. We really, really, really have to make this matter. So I am very, very, very proud that Chris Jericho is doing that because that's what a fucking champion should do. So I give him a lot of credit for that. And if that motherfucker wants to go to a steakhouse, I would honestly buy that nigga a steak, really. That's right. I could call Chris Jericho a nigga, because he's a real nigga for advertising Ring of Honor. With that said, I'm also proud of Orange Cassidy because he did an angle where he was disguising himself as a cameraman, and he put like a rope around Mox's neck. And what have I said about Orange Cassidy? That he really, really struggles with doing stupid shit like the comedy kicks. This is like him being mad that they tried to poison him and pour cleaner on his wounds and stuff like that. The reason why I'm very proud of this is that maybe during the pay-per-view they do like a fatal four-way type of thing. You'll see Orange Cassidy be a lot more serious and a lot more aggressive because honestly, the comedy kicks and that stuff, it's two things. That is not real professional wrestling. That is stupid behavior. You might as well have a match with Kenny Omega versus a blow-up doll. But I'm proud of Orange Cassidy because he took himself more seriously, and that's what he needs to do, really. And I think what they all have to understand is that this silly comedy wrestler type of thing, that's one of the reasons why people don't watch AEW. So if you see Orange Cassidy be more vicious, more intense, really, I think he's going to be a bigger deal. It's almost like when Roman Reigns was a babyface. That was not working, and then he changed, and then he got over really big. So sometimes a little bit of change of character can actually make something really strong. So I respect Orange Cassidy for that. If he wants to go to a street vendor, get some oranges in New York City, I would honestly, buy some oranges for that nigga. He's also a real nigga for that as well. So I respect him for that. So I want to talk about the show. The other thing that I want to talk about is that I think for World's End, they're going to do a fatal four-way. It's probably going to be Adam Page, Hangman, Moxley, and Orange Cassidy. And I want to see that because the big thing that I'm going to say is that I do not want Christian Cage in that because why the fucking hell would you have a briefcase and you'd want to join a fatal four-way, make it a fatal five-way, or why would you want to have three spots and then join into that? That is extremely stupid. Like I've said about Hernandez in TNA Wrestling, you don't do something like that, really. And then the other thing that I'm a little worried about is now Christian Cage is feuding with Hook. So one of two things could happen. That he could lose the briefcase and give it to Hook, but Hook is not going to be an AEW champion. That'll be really stupid. And then the other thing too is that I think a lot of people would feel very hurt if Christian does not become the AEW champion, because sometimes when you win a briefcase or these contracts for a title shot anytime, anywhere, you have to make it validated. And I think Christian would make it very validated, really. So you honestly need Christian actually win the AEW championship. I do not want to see a situation where he fails to cash it in, because you have to kind of do that and validate it. And then the other thing that I'll say is that if something happens to him, I would give it to Luchasaurus. Like, have a match between them, or give it to Adam Copeland and then give it to somebody else, really. Or give it to Adam Page, really. Like you have, it's either, your next champion should either be Adam Page or Christian Cage, really. But I think Adam Page is the one who needs to be champion next, really. I think that would be the best for business. But yeah, I think they're going to set up a fatal 4-way. I like how they're not going to make Christian part of that, because, again, that would be stupid, really. So they're making some good choices. So I want to start the show. So the first match tonight was Shelton versus Kyle Fletcher. This was a very 50-50 type of match, meaning that nobody really had an advantage over the other one. They're both very athletic people. I really enjoyed it. They went close to the 20-minute mark, and Kyle Fletcher won because he caught Shelton off guard with a pinfall, and the referees didn't see it and all that. So I'm okay with that, because obviously, Kyle Fletcher is doing two things that I like, really. He's having matches where he gets pinfalls without cheating, and then he's also getting pinfalls with cheating, because that's what a good heel does. You don't do the Bobby Roode thing where you're always, cheating every single time, really, because that makes a champion look weak. Sometimes you can do that, but if you do that every single time, sometimes there's a wrestler that has a reign where they do that every single time, and sometimes that works. But if you overdo it too much, that makes your champion look weak. And as I said before, I think that if you want to make money, you should have Okada, Claudio, Fletcher, and Ospreay. That should be that would be your moneymaker type of thing, really. So it was an okay match. Happy that Fletcher won. And then it was a little weird with what happened with Shelton Benjamin. Like, MVP was mad at them, and then what happens is that backstage security walks into their footage, and they all start beating down the security. Because I really think what they're trying to do with that is that MVP is mad at Shelton, which is the logical sense, really. And Lashley is mad at Shelton for losing. And there could be a situation where they kick Shelton now for losing too much. But obviously they did, like, the security guards to kind of, like, make sure they don't, like, fall apart, really. I think that, again, they were trying to, like, make it realistic to say, okay, they're more focused on this than they're distracted by this to not throw Shelton out of the group. So I like that, consistency. The next match was Swerve versus Max Caster. And I really like this match, because I really think that there's a couple of things about this, that Max Caster's in over his head. He's actually very arrogant, and he's being a smart-ass character. And there's actually going to be some break apart. And I think that, like I've said, I think the Hurt Business, they need to recruit Anthony Bowens, because my big issue is that maybe we can do an angle is that maybe Max Caster learns over time to be more serious, to drop his arrogance, and that's really holding him back, really. I think that could be a good angle, really. Like, that could make him a good babyface, because I think a lot of people want to see that in AEW, is that they want to see less of the comedy wrestlers. They want to see less non-believable wrestlers. If you see somebody like Max Caster maybe have a rematch with Swerve, and they're having like a 20, 30-minute thing where Max Caster's taking it seriously and transform from a smart ass to taking it serious, I think that would be good, really. But it was a good match, and I was a little worried about this match, because one thing that I was worried about was like, how do you do a match like this? Because Max Caster and Swerve Strickland actually have feuded before. They've had long matches and all that stuff. But what I would say is that Swerve really dominated like 80% of this match, and it made sense because he's a former champion. Max Caster's never wrestled an Ospreay. Max Caster's never wrestled a Bobby Lashley. And if he was in that, even though he's been a tag team champion and a trios champion, he wouldn't last that long, really. So seeing Swerve beat him and how they did that was very, very realistic. And what was also realistic was that Swerve beat him down afterwards. And it wasn't Swerve being heel. It was Swerve saying that, you know what, you made a rap song and you dissed me, you dissed my house, you dissed me many, many times, really. So he wasn't doing that as a heel. He was doing that as, you know what, there are consequences for your actions, really. So this all works, really. And then he's shouting at the microphone about wanting to have a rematch. Like, I would love to see Swerve versus Lashley too, but I would say that they would have to do, like a hardcore match or something, different, because you can't like have repeat matches unless there's different stakes, really. So I was very okay with this, just Swerve versus Max Caster. I got my notebook. I'm just crossing these off, as I go along. The next match was the Dynamite Dozen. And this was like the worst match on the card. And I started to lose interest in the show after this. I was very fucking furious because there's a couple of things with this, that when you do a battle royale, and AEW and WWE does this a lot, really, you have to make sure everybody in there makes sense, really. So why would, Evil Uno be in this? Why would Lance Archer and Brian Cage? It was just, let's throw everybody together, really. What you should have done, I mean, like, they had Kyle O'Reilly in it, and they also had Adam Cole. So it was very, very predictable that Adam Cole was going to win this. But what happened was that they changed the rules a little bit, I believe. So the rule is that if it goes down to two people, and then the two people will have a match with each other, and then the winner of that match is going to face MJF at World's End. And then the problem with this is that you don't know if it's going to be Kyle O'Reilly, because remember what happened last month with Roderick Strong. This is going to be bad if they have it'll be really, really bad if they have Kyle O'Reilly, and it really has to be Adam Cole. They really need to end this. This is going on too long. They can kind of extend this to Grand Slam in Australia, but it hurts MJF and it hurts Adam Cole. They need to just go in their separate directions. And World's End is a pay-per-view that says it's the end of AEW for 2024. And what that means is that some feuds need to end and some things need to start. And you've realized that through this entire year, the whole MJF and Adam Cole thing has not been working, really. So kill it at World's End, really. Have that abortion at World's End. So I do hope that Adam Cole wins this, but there's a fear that they'll put on Kyle O'Reilly, and then they're going to have Adam Cole eventually. And then what I would say in the Dynamite Dozen, like I've said, it was a bad match because there was really nobody in that match that really mattered except for Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, really. You should have had, Roderick Strong, Wardlow. You could have had, Leo Rush in there talking about how he wants to join the Hurt Syndicate. And he's saying something like, if I can get through this, I can beat Bobby. If I can get through this, I have something to show Bobby Lashley. You could have had Daniel Garcia in it. You could have had a couple of other people who've had issues with MJF over the years, really. You could have even had Ricky Starks in this. You could have had some other people that you could have even had, one of the, you got Wheeler Yuta in this. Or I also could understood how they were in a tight situation, really, where they just wanted to feature people. They just wanted to really feature people because they didn't want some people to lose. You could even have the Righteous in this, because remember the Righteous versus MJF happened, really. So there could have been a bunch of people, and then when you had some unknown people, so you could have had Action Andretti in this talking about how he wants to be a big deal. He's looking for a fight. Obviously, a match with MJF will get him to the next level. Leo Rush talks about that, so they could have just had more people, in this match there for a purpose and state their purpose. Or even if you did something like maybe before the show or after the show or during the show, you have people speak for 20 seconds about, I'm this person, this is what I want to be, MJF, another 20 seconds, and you do that, and then you would have, you would have roughly about, if I'm doing the math right, about 4 minutes, of promos, 4 or 5 minutes of promos and putting that together, really, and that would work, really, to give us all context. So I think they could have done this a lot better. The execution was bad. The next match was, there are two matches I didn't care about. Pac versus Jay White. I started to play solitaire on my phone. I'm not sure why I wasn't into this. I just think that I'm not a big fan of Jay White. Like, I don't see the appeal in Jay White. He's boring. He doesn't have a charismatic voice. He has a strong, New Zealand accent, really. I think he's being overpushed. He's not done anything on the roster that shows me that he's a big deal. Remember, he lost to the one-legged MJF. They need to do a lot with his character. They need to have him talk a lot more. They need to kind of have him, let's get to know Jay White a lot more. Let's talk about what the title means to him. What is taking the title off of Moxley mean to him? Why does he hate Adam Page? We need more of a character study on Jay White, because what they're doing right now is he's kind of bland, really. And it's the same thing with Pac. Pac is not the best talker, really. But there should have been backstage fight with him and Pac and other things that kind of really something that there's something that really need to kick this up a notch, really, So, and I don't feel like they should have done that, because that would have made me care more about it. But they had a match. I don't remember most of it. I wasn't really invested in it, so it was. I didn't like it at all, really. Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford. Anna Jay always wins. Penelope Ford is somebody that usually loses a lot. I really didn't care about the match. The main event match of the night was Claudio versus Brody King. I was actually really surprised by this match. I think that both of them are really great performers, and they have a lot of potential. And this is one of the reasons why, in my opinion, I'm a little bit mad with the Continental Classic, with how they're having Commander substitute for Juice Robinson. They should have, maybe Malachi Black, or they should have Buddy Matthews or somebody else, really. Or even Ricky Starks, really. But I really think that, Brody King could be a really, really big star. I think he's one of those wrestlers like Luchasaurus where, they probably can be mega stars, but there really has to be a lot better presentation of them. And they really have to think about, how they do as a single star. I think that, as I said, the House of Black needs to be like the New Day, where they're separate, but it's they're separate single stars, but they have each other's backs, really. That's really how they need to be. Because they've already done it. They've already done it. And then also, as I've said before a million times, you need big men standing out in AEW, really. So when I saw this match, really, I was happy with the athleticism. Honestly, that cannonball senton, the cannonball and the senton that Brody King does is excellent. I was a little mad that we didn't see the Cesaro swing, or we didn't see the neutralizer, but I really wish there was more feats of strength. So there was the Cesaro swing, and there was also him carrying him a distance and all that, and the ending was a little predictable, which was that they kind of set it up as they did some offense outside of the ring. Brody King gets a little too confident. He wants to attack Claudio outside the ring, have him sit on a chair, then do a move on him. Claudio gets out of the way. Brody King gets hurt. He goes back into the ring, he's a little dazed, and then Claudio hits the neutralizer and ends it. But as I said before, that I think Claudio needs to win this. And the reason why I would have this is that, the Moxley faction, the Kyle Fletcher faction, the Moxley faction, and also, how should I kind of say this? The Don Callis faction, and also the Hurt Syndicate. And, even if you have somebody like Ospreay or Kyle Fletcher, really, or even Okada, who represents the EVPs, you need top factions having a representative in the finals of the Continental Classic, because it really, really validates it. You need to kind of revalidate some of your factions, because a lot of them have not been going after titles for a while, really. So definitely, this power hungry factions and factions actually achieving titles, or they're getting a bunch of points at the Continental Classic. All those things are very, very important. And as I said, that if you do Claudio, Ospreay, Fletcher, and Okada, that's going to draw money, really. Because I think that Shelton is good, but, Claudio is a better option, really. The fucking garbage man is coming. So I'm going to wrap this up quick. So, overall, There's a lot of things I'm looking forward to in this show. They did a lot of great job with everything, and it was a good watch. Even though AEW is struggling in the ratings, I think that they're going in the great direction. Really, like I said, World's End. It needs to be Fletcher, Ospreay, Claudio, and Ospreay, Fletcher, Claudio, and Okada. Really, those are the people that need to be in it. So that's that really. You don't have somebody like Brody King because most people don't know who he is really. So they have a lot of good things set up, and I'm very proud of the direction. I'm also really proud of them advertising their World's End show. So a lot of great stuff coming up with AEW.